All right, good afternoon. This is Jonathan Alexander, livebordernews.com, and I'm your host today. And I've got a special guest, Russ. I'm not going to mention his last name due to safety reasons. And Russ is exposing the CNPC. For those of you that don't know what that stands for, it stands for China National Petroleum Corporation. And we're going to be bringing Russ live on the air here in a second. So give me a minute, folks, and we'll be right back with you. All right, guys, I'm back. So I'm going to bring Russ on now. Good afternoon, Russ. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, Jonathan, good afternoon. I can hear you just fine.
I appreciate you coming on our show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I think this is an important message to get out to everybody.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about the CNPC today. We're also going to be a lot of the research that you've done already on it and what's happening all around America as well as the world. And I'd like for you to share with the viewing audience everything that you have for us and as well as what's happening on our borders.
Yeah, actually, I want to start with one thing here, and that is with everything that I tell all of you, I ask you this. Use the Ronald Reagan method. You can trust me, but verify what I tell you. And everything is easily verifiable that I'm going to put out here. What it is, it's the CNPC, China National Petroleum Corporation. This is a company that is, as in 2022, was the largest oil exploration company in the world. They brought in more money than any other company in 2022. Now, one of the things that was really shocking to me is when Biden came out, when he became president, he came out and said that he was going to try to save the environment. So he basically cut off a big portion of the drilling in the United States, and he cut out the federal lands. He said he didn't cut out the privately owned ones, but that is not true. What he did with that is he made it so much more expensive to get permits to drill that a lot of companies just wouldn't do it. They went to other nations to do it across the ocean. And all you have to do is look at it yourself. How does it make you feel when you go to fill up your pump, the price of gas? And also, many people don't realize this, but the price of fuel, if it's increased, it also impacts the cost to produce products, to ship products, for businesses to operate. It just goes on and on and on. So the cost of everything goes up. Now, the other thing too is that in the United States, we've, like I said, he's trying to save the environment. Well, what he's also done is, and you can look this up too, in 2011, that large company came in called the China National Petroleum Corporation. You can look it up on Wikipedia. In the second paragraph in Wikipedia, it tells you it's a Chinese government-owned company. They set up a headquarters in Houston, Texas in 2011, and now they're taking over drilling in different parts of the country. But the other thing about it that's very strange is they're actually taking this oil back to their country, to China, and they're stockpiling it. And Biden did that to save the environment. Now, one thing that I would ask that you look into is look at what type of fuel these container ships and tanker ships actually use to transport this stuff back and forth across the oceans. They use what's called a bunker C fuel, which has thousands of times more CO2 and sulfur oxide in it, which is also poisonous. And so it creates a tremendous amount of CO2 gas. In fact, one of these large tanker ships, according to a study that was done in Amsterdam, can produce as much CO2 as 50 million cars a year. Now, when they do come in and get the oil, they're not processing it here. They're not refining it here. They're actually taking it back to China. And this study that they did, they estimate it burns 1 gallon of this low-grade fuel called bunker C fuel. It burns 1 gallon approximately every 42 feet going across the ocean. For them to take the fuel from coast of California to Beijing, it would take approximately 750,000 plus gallons of fuel to take it back there based on that 1 gallon per 42 feet. Another thing that is actually having a big impact now too, and I've been in Alaska, fisherman, diver, commercial diver, that sort of thing. The CO2 gases the CO2 that they're finding in the water is actually having a very negative effect on the sea life and the coral there. And it's having a big impact. In fact, the University of Alaska did a study with underwater drones to measure it, and they're finding it's increasing exponentially, the CO2 is. And it's having a very dramatic impact on it, on the sea life there. Well, this China National Petroleum Corporation, according to the Global 500 list, they brought in $284 billion in revenue in 2021. They're taking over a lot of the drilling here in the U.S. and then stockpiling it, like I said earlier. And like you can actually verify this. Just look them up on Google Maps. You'll see them on Google Maps in Houston, Texas.
Yeah. Hey, Russ.
Yeah.
So according to the Biden administration, I was under the understanding that Biden stopped all drilling. So that's untrue, correct?
No, they can still drill. What they did was they made it so where you can't drill on federal lands, on federal property, but they still allow you to drill on private property. But the problem is now it can cost up to $1 million just to get a permit to drill or to re-drill a well.
And so is that what these guys are doing? They're actually drilling on private land then?
I have no idea. All I do know is that they've set it up. They're doing exploration in Wyoming. They've been in Colorado, a couple of different states. I'm assuming they're here in Texas, although I haven't seen that specifically.
So I guess my
they're
point
being
is
allowed to do it here, where a lot of the companies we're working with that
Right.
were here, there's a number of them, but they've actually moved out of the country or they're drilling in other countries.
Right.
They're not
So
drilling here anymore because it's a lot cheaper.
I guess my point, Russ, is it sounds to me like maybe the Biden administration might have made a special exception for this Chinese outfit to do whatever they want. And as far as the American-owned companies, they're basically SOL. That's almost what it sounds like.
Yes, that is what it is. Some of these companies are still drilling, but they're drilling in other countries. They've gone to Africa and places like that.
Correct.
But now the other problem though with the CNPC is they've taken over a lot of the drilling in places like Africa. They were the largest drilling company in Iran and exploratory company in Iran. Europe said they wouldn't work with them anymore if they continued to do that. So what they did is the Chinese government just started another Chinese government-owned exploratory and drilling companies and sent those in. So it's still basically the same operation. It's just under a different name, but they're still working with the Iranian government. But another thing too that I wanted to bring up on this is they've had oil spills. They've caused massive explosions. Like I say, you could just look a lot of this stuff up and you'll see a lot of it. They have no consideration for the environment. In fact, they got kicked out of Chad because they actually deliberately spilled oil on land and then tried to get the locals to clean it up without any safety gear or equipment. And the government of Chad found out about that and they kicked them out of the country. They've also been accused of working with militant groups in Africa that are basically using indentured, or what should be called slave labor. And all of that, if you look it up, you'll find a lot of these articles on CNPC. In fact, Wikipedia is actually a good one for that if you wanted to look it up. Look at all the articles it's linked to.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just absolutely unbelievable that this is happening.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Well, another aspect to this too that is actually really disheartening is in January of this year, they made an announcement, the CNPC did, that they signed a 25-year contract with this group that is going to make this group billions and billions of dollars. Like I said, it's going to last for 25 years. It's also going to give the Chinese government access to the second largest copper mining strip in the world that they found so far. And they're going to be able to mine this copper. And it's a group that all of us have heard about a lot. It's a group called the Taliban. They're working directly with the Taliban with a headquarters here in Houston with an open border. This does not make any sense.
So let me understand this. So the U.S. is actually allowing a company to operate here that's working also with the Taliban.
Yes. Yes.
Unbelievable.
It is. And this is easy to verify. Go into Google or a search engine, type in CNPC space Taliban. You'll see.
What if you type that into a message right here, sir? You got a spot right there where you should be able to type in a message and give the audience the site as well.
Oh, yeah. Bear with me for just a moment. Let's see. Yeah, it's CNPC and Taliban. You could just easily look it up.
Okay.
And actually, I can post some other links in here too. The thing with the Taliban is, though, that's really very shocking, and a lot of people, I don't think a lot of people realized how impactful this was. But when Biden, back in 2021, when he pulled out of Afghanistan, he left the Taliban a massive amount of military equipment and weapons. And in fact, I've got some pieces here, and I sent those to you. You could share those with people if you want. That's
right.
Not a problem, Jonathan. But it was from the Government Accountability Office. It was a study they did in 2017. But it goes back to the stuff they gave them up until 2016. The Afghan army that was working with the U.S. that the Biden abandoned when he pulled the military out. But they left them 358,530 rifles, military-style rifles, M16s, AK-47s, sniper rifles, that sort of thing. They left him 54,363 machine guns, 25,327 grenade launchers, shotguns, rocket-propelled weapons, almost 10,000 of those. It's just unbelievable that they've done this. But another really shocking part about it is they also left them 20 A-29 attack airplanes. They're A-29s. Those are
Right.
$22 million to build each one of them. And that is technology that the Chinese don't have.
Oh, exactly.
What would the Taliban do with those planes? Because they can't fly them.
I'm posting this live here. I'm actually on my Facebook as well right now, so people can see the numbers. There we go. So that's done.
Yeah, they left them helicopters. It's just I cannot believe that he's done this, but he has literally given the Taliban. He's armed them to the hilt. But now, when you combine that with the fact that we have open borders, since when Trump was in office, according to Congress, a congressional hearing, they said they caught 8 or 9 known terrorists coming across the border. That's what they said in this congressional hearing. I don't know how
Right.
accurate that is. I never verified it. In fact, Jonathan, you would probably know that better, if it was true or not. But since the border has the wall has come down, so to speak, and Biden came into power, they've caught over 200 coming across. And that's only the ones that they've actually been able to identify, with the huge portion of the border open. Now, my question to everybody out there is this: why would known terrorists be coming across the border? Do you think it would be because they're looking for a better life in America? They're not. This just is not this is making as much sense as leaving the border open and letting all the fentanyl come across.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense. It's not legitimate. I don't know. I don't know what to think of all of this, but it's gonna be a terrible price that the United States is going to have to pay if we do not put a stop to it.
Well, I'm seeing that, and that's the thing, Russ. You know, our government right now has become so corrupt, and just the amount that we're exposing down on the borders, as well as around the country, of what's actually taking place. You know, it's unbelievable what we're witnessing every day. And what you're saying, by the way, is spot on. So yeah.
Well, yeah, and the thing is too is there's one of the things I really want to emphasize to everybody out there is, and I want you to always remember this: the only way we're going to actually make a difference in this is if we start waking up a lot more Americans, and I do believe that is starting to happen. But the thing to remember is no matter where we go with this, no matter what happens, if we don't change it, it's our children and our grandchildren that are going to pay the biggest price. So we have to actually start coming together. And I'm not advocating war. I'm not advocating anything like that. What I'm saying is we got to get this garbage out of the White House. And these things that are coming up in this way, this has all got to stop. They're literally arming the Chinese and depleting our stocks of military. They don't even. I've already heard they don't have enough bullets for the military for bullets, just bullets for the guns that they have. It doesn't make sense. Now, I haven't looked into that, but I'm pretty sure that's probably true because there hasn't been anything going through and all of that. But yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that's coming up now, and I would ask everybody out there, why do you think they would let these terrorists into America? What would be the reason for our government ignoring the fact that they just armed one of the most powerful terrorist groups in the world and then opened up our border, and they're working directly with the Chinese, who has one of their main companies, biggest companies that the government owns, Chinese government owns, is in Houston, Texas. How is that even possible?
Yep, absolutely. I mean, I could tell you how. I mean, for one thing, we know the Biden administration has been accepting money from I mean, from the Chinese and everybody else. Why would he not be accepting money from these people as well?
Oh yeah, yeah. There has to be something to this that it I don't know. It's hard to explain. I do know this is not the America I expected it to be. This is not what I always believed in America. And I do love my country, and I am a Christian. So I'm not advocating violence or anything like that. But I just, it's not making any sense. And with all these weapons, I mean, what if they came in and attacked all the power grid and knocked out the power for 6 months? Or what if they poisoned everything with the fentanyl or something like that? I mean, why are they allowing, as your show that you did, or the interview that you did the other day or last week, there's enough fentanyl to kill every American inside in the USA, in our country right now.
Oh
Why
yeah,
would they bring that much in here?
well, yeah, they've got enough stockpile of fentanyl right here on American soil to last the next 100 years, but yet they're still trafficking it in each and every day. So yeah, I mean, personally, I think it's a plot they have to where they're planning something with it.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I ask everyone out there, what we need to do, like I said, is wake people up. Start getting people to wake up to this, to know that it's happening. And with the things that I'm telling you, like I said, use the Ronald Reagan method, trust but verify.
Exactly.
Now, one place I know that you can get a lot of this information that's very detailed is on a website called Open the Books. And that's a site that actually you can look up your, school teachers' wages and things like that. That kind of surprised me when I seen some of that. I didn't know teachers were making $250,000 back in the 1990s.
Yep.
But there were teachers that were making that much, and they were demanding more money. But the point of it is we got to start waking up to what's happening, because our government it's not what we believed it was. And I don't know. I mean, when my wife came over here, she's an immigrant. She's from Thailand. When she came over, it cost us thousands of dollars, and we had to be together for a long period of time. If she'd have come across illegally, she could have got a free place to live and food paid for and medical and everything else. We have a handicapped little guy here. We're having a terrible time getting him into the medical system, because they're overloaded with people coming across the border. And our little guy, he's got 11 major issues. They didn't even think he was going to live for more than 3 to 5 months. He turned 7 years old earlier this year. Yeah. But he still doesn't walk or talk, and he's got some really hard problems with him. We found out his liver's not hooked up, and we finally, since we found that out, it's been a couple of years, we finally got his liver examined a couple of weeks ago. And they were supposed to do it right after he was born. So none of this is making any sense.
Yeah. So you guys were basically denied medical for a bit because of the amount of illegals there at the medical facility, correct?
Well, I don't know what the problem was. When we were in Washington State, they were allowing us to come in and do that and get medical for him. But when they found out his liver wasn't hooked up, they told us to come out here where we're at now, because the pediatric care is better. But then when we got here, it was a year before we got him to look at his liver. When we were in Washington State, they were putting him through physical therapy, a nutritionalist, and a general doctor once a month for each one of them. I don't really want to say where I'm at right now either. So
unbelievable.
I'm trying to keep that quiet too, because I am worried about him. If they did something to me, or it would have a terrible impact on him. He's fed through a tube.
Hey Russ, we've got Kim Yeater that joined us on the show here, and I see that. And how you doing, Kim?
You're muted, Kim.
Well, you're muted. Yep. She's going to have to come back on and try.
Yep. Well, the next question then, Jonathan, is what's the answer to this? How do we start taking our country back with all of this?
Well, kind of like what the governors are doing in 25 states right now. We've raised enough hell, been exposing enough evidence of the corruption to where all of a sudden now you got all these governors going against the Biden administration to take control of our borders and different things. But right now, that's what it's going to take. It's going to take we the people's voice to really just crack down on these senators, these congressmen, and get them off their butts to do their job. I mean, that's where we're at. And, a lot of people say, well, we need to go to war. Well, right now, we've been at war. People don't get it. Right now, America is a war zone. The border is the front line of it, where we have it coming right through our borders each and every day. And, that's why shutting our borders down is vital in this fight. But it's going to take all of us, all of the American people to say no more. We've got to be done, and let the government know we're done with this corruption.
Yeah, well, actually, to bring up another point on that too, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, but Biden reenacted something that was called the worldwide tax system. And a lot of people aren't familiar with that. What that is that's if you, say, build a company and produce products in Ireland and you sell them there, and you live in California where the corporate tax rate is like 35% or whatever it is, 42%. It's actually really high there for the high end ones. And you pay 16 or 14% tax in Ireland, then you have to make up the difference when you bring the money back to the United States. And what most countries found is these companies that do that, they won't bring the money back to reinvest in their home nations. So all of Europe, every developed nation except for 2 countries got rid of the worldwide tax system, except for the United States and Mexico. And so that basically does is it pushes companies out of the United States for production. They only sell here. But a manufacturer in other countries, they pay their taxes that they sell here, but they don't bring any money back here. And we've got to get rid of that worldwide tax system, because that's why so many of these companies that Trump brought in, that's why they're moving out. It's because they can't afford to operate here. And most of this stuff is actually, in my mind, is put into place not for small businesses and not for family-owned, privately owned businesses. What it helps more than anything else is the very large corporations. It's like during the COVID virus. What was it? Kruger's sales went up, 150% or something extraordinary. I can't remember what it was. But that's because all the family-owned businesses basically shut down. And they're doing that everywhere in America. So anybody that thinks that the Democrats are trying to tax the rich and they're standing up for the poor, they're doing quite the opposite. Right. They're standing up for the rich, and they're imposing and they're basically subjugating the poor, or in the middle class too.
Hey, Russ, did you hear this report yesterday? Let's see. This is a guy over in Hawaii claiming that the special forces went in and assisted the people. These were retired veterans over there in Hawaii. Did you see that yet?
No, I haven't seen that.
Yeah, I'm going to play this real quick. But we did some research on this. And after researching it, they're being told to reach out to the military and the police now to see if this was actually true. But the way they're starting to come across, this really did happen. But I'm going to play this so that the audience can hear this. Hold on a second. We did some research on this. And after researching it, they're being told to reach out to the military and the police now to see if this was actually true. But the way they're starting to come across, this really did happen. But I'm going to play this so that the audience can hear this. Hold on a second. Yep. Bear with me a second. Sorry about that, guys. I'm live on my own Facebook, so give me a second. Bear with me a second. There. So let me log back in. I want to play this clip real quick for you guys.
Six ex-military elite special force members showed up in Maui to help the people and arrested some of the local police for treason to the country. Wait, is this real? Yes. No, you didn't hear about it on the news, nor will you ever. You think it was wildfires? Definitely not if you do, you're an idiot. There's been enough proof, you've seen enough. It sucks I only have 3 minutes because I can't even tell this whole freaking what I've learned in 3 minutes, but I'm gonna try to make it short. Somebody that we all know who's on TV almost every night in America. He's not Trump, but he's almost as famous, and he used to own a professional sports team. They're in Maui. They've been for over a week. His right-hand man is great friends, been for years with my store manager of my business, who's been with me for 15. And he's an ex-police officer also, and his father is an ex-Army Ranger. So anyway, they've been up for a week trying to hand out water. The police have been trying to stop them, but they got 20 security guards with them, and they've been bullying their way on and giving the water out. 2 days ago, he calls my manager and says, "You're not going to believe this shit. Craziest thing I've ever seen. We're here trying to help out the people, and we see 6 of those military type rafts you see, like, on TV with the 50 cows in the front. 6 of them come flying up to the docks, and they get out. And it's these monster dudes, special forces. He said they pretty much just take over the whole dock. They take over the police officers are there, make them, their guns drawn, rifles drawn, like, put your guns down. Make these officers put their guns down and take it over and tell all them cops that, they're arrested for treason to the country. These guys aren't acting on U.S. military. These are ex-military guys. He said he started talking to some of the guys. They're ex-Navy SEALs. They're Rangers. They got patches on. SEALs, Rangers, ex-Marines, stuff like that. He said I started talking to all of them, find out who they are, what they're there. Like, yo, we're U.S. citizens. We come here to help. These guys, this is treason to the country. We're here to help the local people. So the locals start telling them how they have all their food captive. There's 2-3 containers a quarter mile up the road. They won't let us even get any of it. So they got 6 guys. They go over there, 3 more officers, take them in control, get to the containers, and start giving out food and water. You don't hear about this on the news. Of course you're not going to hear about this on the news. This guy is there on the ground. He's calling us. He's like, you wouldn't believe what just happened a couple hours ago. He said, it is crazy. It's the craziest scene I've ever seen. I've been in war scenes. I've been, at war times, he said, but this island looks worse than anything I've ever seen. He said, the people are going mad. The people are about to cause and start a revolution. They are pissed. They are furious. He said, they don't know. No one's talking to them. No one's on the media. No one's letting this word get out. So just know this is the truth.
So anyways, hopefully you guys, did that come through clear enough for everybody?
So good, Jonathan. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we can.
Perfect, Kim.
Well, I'd love to add in Russ. First of all, it's so great to hear your voice. Jonathan, I love you and I love Russ. I get to be among pillars right now, true warriors in the battle. So grateful. Guys, I want to share an article. I want to share a little excerpt from a book. This book is called AR2, Handbook for the Second American Revolution. Lawrence Hebron, he's a local author. He's written multiple books and he's running for office here in Southern California. And I'm going to share the back of this book and then a little bit of the last chapter. And I think it's really going to paint a picture of what is going on and Russ's unanswered question of what's going on? Why is this happening? Why are they doing this? It says in 1776, we the people rocked the world. It's time to do it again. These are the times that try men's souls. The government is corrupt. The political system is dysfunctional. Both political parties have not only failed us, they have betrayed us. The old politics of the old politicians serving their old parties have nothing to offer us but debt, decline, disrepute, and death. We, the people, deserve better, and we will get it. And here's how. Now, the last chapter written in this book, and this is how this author and I connected. I had a very clear dream of the last shot heard around the world. This was a dream that occurred about 9 months ago. I met this author days after confirmation of this dream with God's voice saying to me, Kim, it's the shot heard around the world. This chapter 16 is called The Next Shot Heard Round the World. Darkness and desperation had spread across the land and among the people. The light of liberty was flickering and close to being extinguished. The battle cry of the first American Revolution, give me liberty or give me death, was nigh unto forgotten. Instead, the death of liberty itself was fast approaching. We, the people, had been seduced by the siren song of deceitful politicians and the useful idiots who were their water bearers. We had traded freedom for security and had achieved neither. The morals of the nation, that solid and true foundation upon which every free and prosperous society must be established, were being systematically attacked and traded. God was exiled from the public arena. The sanctity of life was overruled by the sake of convenience. Christianity was portrayed as the refuge of the simple-minded. The family was being undermined by a welfare system that tore it apart and an entertainment industry which mocked it. Parents were being denied the power to raise up their own children. The public school systems preempted the parents' authority and wishes, while a system of child protective services often exploited flimsy justifications in order to seize children and consign them to abusive foster guardians. The holy institution of marriage was desecrated and shattered by easy divorce and unholy redefinitions. Political and economic power had been accumulated and aggregated by a wicked cartel consisting of big political parties, big businesses, big unions, big bankers. The consequences was big trouble for the people who were fast losing control over nearly every aspect of their lives, as well as the power to do much about it. The cartel had successfully infiltrated every element of society that influenced the formation of public opinion. Education, entertainment, the media, publishing, the arts, even seminaries had become instruments for the propagation of propaganda. The people were conditioned to think and act inside of boxes that had become skillfully designed by the box makers to keep them under control. They had nearly lost the ability for critical and original thought. Though aware of grievous problems, they could imagine no other solutions than to continue the same sick policies that had created the grievous problems in the first place. Malaise and then depression overcame the people as they lost hope of finding any way out. Reform-minded individuals and organizations lose heart and retreated into the ideological bunkers of despair, despondency, defeatism. Many simple curled up and awaited the end. But then a voice was heard as one crying in the wilderness, arise, shine. If you look at the book of Isaiah, this is in the book of Isaiah. Arise, shine. This is the United States of America. We deserve better than this. We are better than this, and we owe better than this to our children and to the world. Ancient truths long buried were unearthed and unleashed. The spirit of 1776 was rekindled. A tiny flame grew great and began to spread across the land. A mighty conflagration had been ignited, and from the rising smokes, the clouds of war converged. On one side, a growing army of eagles assembled, proud, noble, brave, and true. They had gathered to save the life of their nation. Against them was formed a swarm of vultures. They had gathered to end the life of the nation so they could pick clean its bones. The die was cast. This would be war. This would be the Second American Revolution. AR2.
Amen. And isn't that where we're at here today?
That is exactly where we're at today.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we have no choice at the rate we're going here. I mean, I don't want to see it, but you know what? We have to do something or America's going to die. And you know something else to consider? America is one of the most giving nations in all of the history of the world. But the truth is, if we don't take care of ourselves first, we have nothing to give. They're taking away our ability to do that. So it's not, as Kim said, it's not going to just harm America. It's going to harm the entire world. The only ones that won't harm are the ones that are in power. And that's
Yeah.
downright scary.
I would
Well,
completely agree.
yep, exactly. I mean, you just look at the amount of corruption that we're facing every day, and to see what these governors all just did in the 25 states, you know, that right there, I can honestly say I'm proud of these governors for all stepping up and taking action on our borders. I mean, because we have been exposing this to the nation for a long time, and to see these governors actually all get off their butts and say, enough is enough. I am honored, like Phil Hart, who came to the border with me. I mean, you met him, Kim.
Yep.
I mean, that
Awesome.
guy right there took it right back to Idaho, fired off on the people out in Idaho. He said something has got to be done. And guess what? Here's a governor of Idaho that everybody calls the Rhino, Brad Little. He actually got on board with this. So, you know, it's like, thank God. This is why I keep telling everybody, put pressure on your senators, your congressmen. If they're not doing the job, get a million people to call them. Right.
Yeah.
Tell them.
This is so imperative. And it's so imperative, Jonathan and Russ, that, I mean, I don't know if this election is going to occur. My gut tells me it's not. But if it does, it's important that we get out there, that we get to the polls, that we volunteer at the polls, that we stand in the space of election integrity, that we hold our elected officials accountable to ideally stopping the machines going to paper vote. But if that has not occurred by the time we go to vote, we show up. We don't harvest the ballot. We show up. We show up in groves, and we show up and we put in our vote. We allow our voice to be heard, and we get the crooked out of office. I mean, we all know, at least most of us know, that those machines are all connected. They all have modems. They're all connected to the internet. There's access for someone to intercept your vote. And that's why they need to be stopped, right? But if we continue to allow things as they are and think we're going to do it better than the left, harvest better? Are you kidding me? Mail in ballot better than the left? No. You need to stop wickedness in its tracks. It is deception, and enough. Enough is enough.
100% agree, Kim. Very well said as well. Yes.
That is my alarm. And on that note, Jonathan, thank you for allowing me to be here with you today.
Kim, love you coming on here. And I'll be on your show on Wednesday.
Love it. Every Wednesday, takeyourpowerbackshow.com. Every Wednesday we record. We go live on Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific. You'll hear Jonathan. He has a segment every single Saturday because we need to know, boots on the ground, what's going on every single week at the border. We need to understand how we're being intercepted. Guys, I've met with high-level intel. I'm just Kim. But when you seek the truth and pursue it, it will reveal itself to you. This country is not being run. It's not being run by America right now. Our country is being run by the CCP. That's who our country is being run by. And yes, our borders, you hear it all the time from Jonathan, they're being infiltrated. And the stuff that Russ discussed, this stuff is happening everywhere. And in this whole lockdown thing that's about to go down, guys, listen, we've got to say no. I mean, I've got an amazing guy, Tony Roma, that's about to come on my show this week from Basilico's Restaurant. He was one of the only restaurants that remained open. That guy was fined up the yin yang. He did not move. He says, no, we're not doing this. What's happening is wrong. They're stealing they're basically taking our freedom. And do you know OSHA has now come back to him? OSHA just locked up his bank. He can't get access to $187,000 to pay his employees to keep the restaurant afloat. Okay. They're trying, and why are they doing it now? Why do you think? They're setting the precedents. Okay. This is
Yep.
wickedness. This is domestic violence, is what this is. And if you continue to let someone perpetrate you, you continue to let someone violate you, they will go as far as they can go. You've got to set the boundary and say, no, enough is enough. And we say no more.
That was Tony's restaurant we were at out there in San Diego when I was
Yeah,
working.
we had dinner together there, Jonathan. Yes.
Boy,
Oh,
yeah,
gee.
I've got to get Tony on my show as well, Kim. I mean,
I'll
yeah.
connect you.
I mean,
We'll connect
he
you.
is one strong patriot that does not tolerate any corruption from the government. And I'll stand right behind him 100%.
Come on.
Absolutely.
So good.
You know, another thing too with all the child trafficking, that one is really getting me. And the girls they're finding men's DNA on, as they describe it.
Yeah.
They've got to be allowing that. This is one of the most evil things I've ever heard of in my life. I mean, I don't know what I could describe it to in modern history. Adolf Hitler wasn't this bad.
It's demonic. It's demonic. We have to remember from the big guys, this is not a new battle. It's been hidden from us. It's been there. History is not as it seems. You know, Shakespeare said all of life is a stage. Man is but the simple player. I mean, yeah, that's Shakespeare, right? But nonetheless, it is not as it seems. This wickedness has been going on from the beginning of time. Satan has an agenda. Okay. It will be as in the days of Noah when they were eating and drinking. Those were the times of the giants. Those were the times of the Nephilim. Guys, this is not conspiracy. If you believe in God, you got to go back to the scriptures and look at the scriptures. Okay.
That's right.
These are demonic entities deceiving us. And the Bible says there will be a great deception, that some of the elect will even be deceived. Let us not be the ones deceived. Let us
Amen.
not buy the narrative, and let us dig deep into his word and
Yeah.
seek our Father so that we get the truth. He says, those that worship me will worship me in truth and in spirit, and those are the worshipers I seek.
Well, you know, Kim, I'm a firm believer God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers, and I know we're God's soldiers.
Come
And
on.
it's up to us to spread the word and get it out there and fight for America.
That's right.
You
That's
bet.
right. Well, thank you. Thank you. An honor to be with you, Jonathan. You are a rock star, and you too, Russ. I love you guys so much. And I'm so grateful that we are on the same team. And we're going to continue to awaken the people. We're going to continue to bring the truth into the light. And we're going to continue to be the real media exposing the truth. I love you guys. I'm going to jump off. I'm running into another meeting. And I'm so excited to continue to have you on the show this week. And
Well,
Russ,
we love you, Kim. Looking forward to seeing you
couldn't
on
do it
Wednesday.
without you. Love you guys. God bless
All right.
you.
That's you. Bless you.
Okay. Okay, Russ, anything else you'd like to share here today?
Well, the only other thing would be is that one of the other things I'm working on is I've been working with Kim and a number of people from all over the U.S. on voter issues, and we are finding a lot of problems with that. But one thing I want to say about that is there's a lot of groups coming out and doing this. And there seems to be there's a lot of infighting and people trying to take over. What we have to do is we all have to come together. So if the word could get out on that, you may be using a different service provider for the updates or whatever it is, but we should all come together and work together. The thing that's going to make us more powerful is, Jonathan, you yourself by yourself don't have the power to do it. Neither do I. And Jonathan, you don't have all the right answers to all the right questions. Or all the real questions, but neither do I. But if we come together, you may have some I don't, and I may have some you don't. So that's what we have to do is we have to start bringing people together, and that's what's truly going to give us the power to stop this.
Well, you know, Russ, that's something I've been telling the people for a long time. You know, the Democrats, they're basically kicking our butts left and right. And that's because the Democrats stick together like a bunch of rats. You know, the American people, patriots, one person goes off on something. Next thing you know, you got a separation in our party of people that should be standing together, turning against one another even. And this is where this kind of BS has got to come to a stop, and we got to become united and stand together and don't allow anything to separate any of us. So
That's
this
right.
is
Well,
what-
truth
this
is, I
what-
believe. Well, I was going to say, truth is, I believe in America, and I believe that we have a lot more good people in America than bad. And they separate us based on race and all these other different things. Well, you know what? I have friends that are Muslims. I have friends that are black. My wife has got dark skin. You judge a person by what's in their heart and what's in their minds. And this division that they're so easily creating between us, it just doesn't make sense. I mean, how can you judge somebody by other than what's in their heart and their mind?
Well, that's what they want is this division. They want people to have this infighting amongst one another. I mean, that's what the Democrats' plot is. They actually show up at a lot of our rallies and different things. They try to intervene on it and then make us all look like a bunch of bad people. Next thing you know, there's a bunch of infighting going on, everything else in the book. And this is the kind of crap that has to come to a stop.
Yeah, it does. It does. We have to come together to do this. And, it's like what Karl Marx said in the Communist Manifesto. He used the term called divide and conquer. And that's what Lenin used. That's what Adolf Hitler used, and that's what they're doing. This is not democracy. This is not.
If you can hold 1 second, sir, I've got Leo Biasucci calling in. Let me tell him I'll call him back in 5. Good afternoon, Leo. Good. Can I call you back in about 5 minutes? I'm on a live broadcast. Okay. I'll call you right back. Thank you. Okay. So we've got about 5 minutes left on air anyways. So I'd love to have you back on our show, Russ.
Oh, yeah, I'd be glad to. And as we keep moving forward with some of these things, I'd like to, use this as an avenue that we can bring this to the American people to inspire more people to stand up to things.
Right.
And, so I think that would be actually vital for what we're trying to accomplish.
So for those of you that don't know who Kim Uter is with the Take Your Power Back show, she was actually with me out in Las Vegas as well at the Trump International, where we had that seminar over the weekend. God, it's been almost 2 weeks now. But anyways, and we were at several events out in San Diego with her as well. But she's going to be up here in Lake Havasu and be one of the speakers at two of the places where I'm going to be speaking at. And so just stay tuned. We'll be broadcasting those live as well. And wish you could be up here for that, Russ.
Yeah, I'm kind of caught up with what I'm working with here with our little guy. He takes 24-hour care a day, and he's fed through a tube and all of that. But he's the sweetest little guy in the world.
Yeah, I'll be keeping them in our prayers and just be keeping you and your family in our prayers as well.
Well, thank you, Jonathan, and keep up the good work, man. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We just got a lot we're going to be doing, a lot of different directions we're taking things right now, and just trying to get all these other state governors across the country to get on board with the border crisis as well. Some of these Democratic states are going to be tough, but in the end, we're going to win this fight. There's not a doubt in my mind. So again, we got 25 states on board to help at least put a stop of what's happening on our borders, and it's going to grow.
Yep, I agree. I believe so too.
So
I strongly believe that.
all right, guys, appreciate you being on, Russ, and I know Kim Uter's probably off in the distance, so appreciate you being on the show too, Kim. And to our viewer audience, we'll be back live again here shortly, and until then,
Well, one quick question for you, Jonathan. When are you going to put this up on the video? My brother wants me to share it too with him. He just texted me.
Well, we're live everywhere as we speak, buddy.
Well, he just texted me a moment ago. So if you're going to put it up,
Nope, it's live right now, and then it will automatically be saved, so he can watch it as well.
Oh, Okay. Okay. Well, Jonathan, thank you for having me, and we'll stay in touch, and we'll keep this going. Okay.
All right. All right. God bless you, brother. Good having you on. So, all right, guys. Appreciate you guys being on watching this today, and got a lot of other border coverage we're going to be doing, and live footage from the border that we're going to be doing again here shortly, and we'll just get it out there to you guys, and we'll be showing off what the military is doing on our borders now. So until then, guys, appreciate you being here. God bless all of you. This is Alexander reporting live with LiveBorderNews.com.